Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to a place where, legends of dragons, royal drama, and a nation's fight for survival are literally carved into the stone. We're not talking about just any old castle. This is Wawel Castle, the very heart of Poland.
So, to start, picture this. We're on Wawel Hill. You're looking out over the incredible city of Krakow, Poland. And for more than 1,000 years, yeah, 1,000, this very spot has been center stage for some of Poland's most intense, most dramatic history.
Which really gets us to the big question we're tackling today, right? How does a single building, just one place, end up telling the entire story of a nation? You know, its identity, its biggest wins, and its incredible ability to bounce back? Well, that's exactly the story we're going to get into.
All right, first things first. To really get Wawel, you have to understand its sheer presence. I'm talking physically and culturally. This is so much more than just a pretty place for tourists. For Poland, this is hallowed ground, a true national symbol.
Yeah, if you remember one thing, it's this. Wawel Castle isn't just a building. It's basically Poland's story, made real. Think about it. This is where kings were crowned, where decisions that shaped the whole country went down. The spirit of Poland is literally preserved right here, in its stones, its art, its memories. So get this, 30 meters. That's almost 100 feet high. It gives you a real sense of how it just dominates the skyline. From up there on Wawel Hill, the castle doesn't just sit in Krakow, it presides over it. It's like this massive, constant guardian watching over the nation's history. And it's not just tall, it's huge. The whole complex is more than a hectare. We're talking over 2.5 acres. So you gotta stop thinking of it as just one building. It's more like a mini fortified city with palaces, cathedrals, museums, the whole shebang. The size alone tells you how important this place was. Okay, so now let's jump in our time machine. Because to really get Wawel, you can't think in years or even decades. You have to think in centuries. A whole 1,000 years of history is packed into this place. Just look at this timeline. It really lays it all out. They started building this thing back in the 10th century. Then, through the Middle Ages, it becomes this massive fortress. Fast forward to the Renaissance, and bam, it's this gorgeous royal court. But what's really wild is that the story isn't over. They're still doing restoration work on it today. You know, this quote just nails it. It's not some dusty old ruin. It's like a living book about Polish history and all the amazing architecture. It's always telling its story to anyone who comes to visit. And this is the cool part. If you really look closely, you'll see the history isn't just in books. It's right there in the walls. You've got this mix of different styles that tells this amazing, complicated story. Every single stone is like a different chapter. And you can see that mix perfectly right here. It's like the castle has two different personalities. On one side, you've got that tough medieval look, the thick stone walls and towers built for battle. But then, right next to it, you've got all this elegant Gothic revival stuff, fancy arches and detailed stonework from a time when art and culture were booming. So, the outside is obviously incredible. But now, let's head inside, because the real treasures, they're all waiting within the castle walls. We're talking a serious look into centuries of Polish royalty, faith, and culture. Okay, so we're going to hit the three big highlights that are really the heart of the whole complex. You've got the royal residences, the absolutely stunning Wawel Cathedral, and the really cool Castle Museum. Let's start with the royal residences. For hundreds of years, this was ground zero for Polish power. Seriously, just try to imagine walking through these rooms, where kings made choices that changed everything, where treaties were signed that literally altered European history. This place was the command center of the kingdom. All right, next up, the Wawel Cathedral. And look, calling it just a church doesn't even come close. This is the spiritual heart of the entire nation. It's where Polish kings and queens were crowned, and where they were buried. It is, without a doubt, one of the most sacred spots in the whole country. And last but not least, the Castle Museum. This is where you get a really close-up look at the area's history. It's so important because it saves all the actual stuff that tells the stories of the real people who lived and worked right here, in the castle's shadow. So, don't think for a second that Wawel is just stuck in the past. Nope, it's a lively, breathing landmark that people from all over the world come to see. So, let's talk about how you could actually go and experience this amazing piece of history.
Okay, so if you're thinking about visiting, here are 3 quick tips. For sure, take a guided tour. It's the best way to hear all the secret stories hidden in the walls. Then, give yourself plenty of time to just soak in the cathedral. It's stunning. And definitely pop into the museum. It'll give you a much better feel for how important the castle is to the local culture.
And really, that's the bottom line. From the very first stones laid way back in the 10th century, all the way to the tourists walking around today, Wawel Castle isn't just some building in Poland's history. No way. It is the story of Poland itself. You can see it written everywhere, in the stone, in the art, and in its incredible spirit.
So that leaves us with this one last kind of amazing thought. This castle has seen 1,000 years of history, and its story isn't over. With all the restoration work and new people visiting every day, it's still being written. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If these old walls could actually talk, what stories would they tell next?